Hello and welcome to Rockies Recap, season number 2 of Rockies Recap. Good to be back here, Tom. Glad to have you back, Adam. Welcome to your first Rockies Recap episode. Of course, if you follow us at Rockies Now, you know that Adam's been on our podcast, and he recently joined Rockies Now a few months back. But Adam, good to have you on board.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I'm looking forward to doing a bunch of these with you guys this year. So let's get after it.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of do this as we did last year. Of course, today's going to be a little bit special since this is the opening series. We decided all three of us are going to do it. But if you're unfamiliar with Rockies recaps last year, you know that there were some. We started out doing just solos and then we switched it back and forth. But since we have three people now on board, we're going to kind of rotate in between people to where 1 week it will be me and Adam. 1 week will be Adam and Tom, or Tom and me, vice versa. So, but today we're going to do a little bit special, again, opening series for the Rockies here against the Rays. So let's get into it. Guys, heading into this series, we were, obviously optimistic at like every other ball club heading into the season, minus maybe a few teams. But no, I mean, we were excited. We were like, hey, maybe this is the opportunity for the Rockies to really, play well, especially in a ballpark that has not seen a Major League Baseball game action. And game one was a good start for the Rockies. For the first roughly 6 innings of the game, Kyle Freeland was pitching amazing. He had 7 strikeouts in the start, and he was almost unhittable. In that game, the Rays could not solve him. The Rockies were able to score a couple of runs early and get off to a 2-0 lead. And then all of a sudden, Tyler Kinley came in and he blew the lead, tied the game. The Rays tied the game. And then, of course, the bullpen, the rest of the bullpen did okay. Chivy and Vodnik did okay in the 7th and 8th inning. And once the 9th inning came up, I think it was the first pitch by Vodnik, who stayed in the game. Which was, I think controversial for a lot of us Rockies fans. Why did you not put Halverson in there? But first pitch, home run for the Rays rookie left-handed hitter. And the Rays got the walk-off home run at George Steinbrenner Field. And it was almost like, it felt like it was scripted. It was going to happen. I don't know why. But when I was watching it, I'm like, yeah, they're going to win this game. It just felt like it was going to happen. So the Rays won 3-2. Overall, game one thoughts for myself. I thought that the Rockies overall played a good game. It wasn't a great game. And, of course, very frustrating to see Tyler Kinley blow the lead because we saw that so many times last year, especially in the season for Kinley. And it was just a missed opportunity. I feel like the Rockies, could have won this game. But, again, these games happen like we saw last year. And then yeah, I mean, I thought the pitching was great, but yeah, it was just another unfortunate ending for a lot of us Rockies fans. So I'm going to hand it off to Tom here first, and then Adam on their game one thoughts.
Well, obviously, it's always a happy new season. Opening day for me is a national holiday, as anybody who knows me truly does know, as Adam has come to know, and Steven, of course, knows that. So it was good to see both my teams had their opening days on different days, so I could give 100% of my attention to the two different teams. Anyway, for this game, Kyle Freeland, again, somebody commented on X, I think actually saw 2 people saying, thank goodness this is not a repeat of last year. So Kyle, he looked fantastic. The changeup was good. It was dipping down. He was staying good on with the slider. Not too many back foot sliders he had going, but he was rolling good. Not too many strikeouts, but Kyle's not a big strikeout guy. I'm not here to scream and yell about why he was pulled after 67 pitches. Maybe he was feeling something. There was something wrong. They just didn't want to tell us. But it is good to see our quote unquote opening day starter or as we call it, ace, right? Former ace cruising. So that was good. Overall, it was not game one was not a horribly played game by us. Again, we lost. So, a lot of different things could have happened. It was good to see McMahon get off there 3 for 3 with a walk. He got on base 4 times. That's definitely what you want to see out of our all-star. Tovar, 2 hits. Goodman, 2 hits. Again, I don't like seeing Tovar and Moniak getting caught stealing and McMahon with the error, but overall it was a well-played game. And again, even though it was a loss with a late inning loss, it is still a close game. A close loss is something that you can somewhat say is kind of a consolation prize as opposed to a blowout that happened last year in 2024.
Yeah. So Obviously, there were some good things about the game. Obviously, we don't like 12 strikeouts offensively, too many empty at bats, and I think that ended up being a theme throughout the series. I think the Rockies struck out 31 times. Let me check that real quick. Yep, 31 times. So that's 10 per game. But yes, hats off to Kyle Freeland. He was outstanding. The 67 pitches, Tom and I probably disagree on this. Why we're putting Tyler Kinley in leverage situations twice in this series is beyond me. But I'm also a guy who is like, why is he even on the roster in the first place? That's where I stand with Tyler Kinley. So, but it was great to see Kyle Freeland doing his thing. 7 strikeouts, and I think earlier in the season or a couple weeks ago, we were doing our predictions, and I said Kyle Freeland's going to turn back the clock, and for one game at least he has done that. So it was great to see him not only strike out 7 guys and not give up a single run, but he was efficient in his 6 innings, only 67 pitches, Bud Black. And so it's great to see that. Hopefully he can keep that moving for the rest of the season. One thing that was alarming for me offensively, though, Chris Bryant is not going to see very many fastballs. He's just not going to, like, the league is going to make him prove that he can hit breaking balls and off-speed pitches. And so far he's 0 for 8 with 3 strikeouts. So that's something to watch. I don't think he's long for the middle of the order. You guys can differ with me on that, but the first game, the Rockies should have won. I think as long as Kyle Freeland wasn't hurt, he should have been in the game another 2 innings at the rate that he was pitching at. I don't really care if it's opening day or not. You got other guys throwing close to 100 pitches on opening day. So I really just don't understand that decision. But, the Rockies let one slip away in the first one. So.
And just to add to that, I would have put Vodnik in instead of Kinley, and I would have saved Halverson for later in the game. That's what I would have done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, quick, and just to address Keith Russell's comment, Brendan Rodgers in 3 games is 0 for 6 with a walk. So just an update on our old pal.
Yeah. I'm happy for B-Rod that he's in a place that, might have a better chance of winning, but still it's, we're rooting for B-Rod, but given the last number of years for B-Rod, I think it was the best decision to move on from him because, again, Amador is in AAA, which I completely forgot. I thought he was in AA, but my mistake. He is in AAA, and Amador's right there. And so I think it was the best decision for the Rockies to move on from him. So, again, we're rooting for Brendan, but, yeah. Speaking of Freeland, I did want to. I forgot to share this, but yeah, I don't know what the decision was to pull him out early. A part of me was initially I was like, well, maybe the Rockies are having him on a strict pitch count. But then Keith also mentions out and points out in the comments is that there was a couple times that Freeland went over that in spring training. So it's just like it's not like he's working up to that pitch count. So again, maybe to Tom's point, maybe that the Rockies they saw something in Freeland that's like, hey, we're going to take you out. Because again, I want to say Pepio pitched to about 80 pitches or something like that. So.
Well, and there's one thing too, Steven, people probably want to say, oh, well, the analytics say this, take him out the 3rd time through the lineup. Yeah. I'm really not a fan of that. Like,
well, he was dealing.
Yeah, they couldn't touch him, dude. Like, he was pitching an outstanding game, probably the best game we've seen him pitch in how long? A couple seasons, right? So I just don't. I'm sure I'll have enough complaints about Bud Black to fill up this season, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But that can't happen on a regular basis. It just can't, especially with the fact that we have a 4-man rotation right now. Like, if you got a guy that can relieve the bullpen and we don't have to use them as much, I think that's a good thing. If he can go 8 innings, let him go 8 innings. But
yeah. Well, game 2 was a little bit better for the Rockies fans, even though there was times in the game 2 where we also felt the same. We were like, oh no, please do not give up the lead here. And I mean, there was a couple times the Rays almost got a couple home runs in that game. It was off the top of the wall, but fortunately, Nick Martini made a nice throw to home plate to gun the runner down. And then Jordan Beck did the same thing. Nice relay from Tovar. It was not even close at the play. If you saw the highlights on our post, the relay from Tovar was like 20 feet in front of the runner that was coming to home play. I think it was Caminero. And so, yeah, I mean, defensively, it was just like, wow, like, was awesome. I mean, it was like, great. This is completely opposite to what we saw last year when the Rockies could not play whatsoever on defense. It was horrible. And we were all pulling our hair out in the, Diamondbacks and Cubs series, where yesterday was awesome. It was like, hey, this is awesome. The Rockies are feeling it defensively, offensively, maybe not so much, but hey, this is a good sign. Senzatella, he wasn't bad, but if you look at the exit velocities, almost every single out, resulted in at least 102 miles per hour off the bat in exit velo, which is not good if you're Antonio Senzatella. Now, it was good to see him not allow any runs scored. Big thanks to the defense. If you don't have that defense there, the Rays would have won yesterday as well. But yeah, I mean, the Rockies were able to hang on. Halverson, man, he's our closer. He's our closer, in my opinion. I think he definitely deserves that spot. I mean, you could put in Vodnik there as well, but I think Halverson, yesterday was his third career save. So again, congratulations to Halverson on that. But yeah, and also too, a big shout out to the Rockies for bringing on in Scott Alexander. I love that guy. That was such an underrated signing. I think next to Estrada, that's my most favorite signing of the offseason. Alexander looked pretty good. I think we got a double play in the inning there yesterday, so that was good to see. But yeah, defense wins champions, as we all know, and the Rockies, they play their butts off defensively in game 2, and that's what they got them in the win. So maybe not the prettiest of wins, but we'll take it, and it felt good. It wasn't like, oh, well, we deserve to lose that game. No, I mean, the Rockies, again, they played really well defensively. They got the win. So, yeah, I mean, in Kyle Farmer, I think he had a sac fly, and Britton Doyle got an RBI single in the game there. So not much offensively. I know a lot of Rays fans out there were pretty frustrated because they were tearing the cover off the ball, but they were finding outs. And so I thought game 2 was a lot better. So, Tom, what do you think?
Game 2 is much better considering that our pitching staff gave up 5 walks and 12 total hits, and 9 were given up by Senzatella. So it's good that our pitching staff and also the defense was able to navigate around that many base runners and still come out with only a 2-1 victory. So that's a positive from the defensive side. Offensively, there wasn't much to write home about. I mean, our offense had 9 strikeouts, no walks. We did make most out of the 6 hits that we got, driving in 2 runs. So it was not much to write about offensively, but like I go back to the defensive side, there were 2 plays. Tovar had one nice play to his right in the hole, deep in the hole, to throw for the out, and also Doyle had the nice catch in right center field. So that was a defensive game, and like I said, I'm not trying to knock on Senzatella here. It shocked me a little bit that he was the number 2 starter to start the season, but hey. He did a great job today. He did, obviously, we know he's not a strikeout pitcher, but like I said, he navigated around 9 hits and did his job, and the bullpen only gave up the 1 run. Our offense did just what it needed to do to win the game. So overall, it's one of those non-exciting offense. It's not like it was the Yankees game where they put up 20 and now today they put up 12. So sorry, it's not that kind of offensive game, but who cares? We won. We won nonetheless.
Yeah, so one other defensive play that I want to bring up from game 2 that was my personal favorite was the Tolia dig out of the McMahon throw on the high chop, because my goodness, what a play on both sides for McMahon to navigate around the runner and to also make a strong enough throw to get the runner on time. And then Tolia, just perfect body position. That was a great play. And I think for Tolia, obviously a little bit slow of a start on offense, but I think he's going to show people what kind of player he is this year on both sides. So I'm excited about that. Again, 9 strikeouts for the Rockies offensively in the game. There's too many empty at bats, and I'm not sure what the approach is. Sometimes we're taking that first pitch. It's like we're trying to work the count. That's fine, but then you don't get another one of those, so that's maybe an adjustment the Rockies will have to make. But as far as Senzatella goes, he's never really been the guy that's avoided contact, as you guys know. But I feel like for what happened, he did a great job. I mean, he allowed 9 hits, but nobody scored, and that's the name of the game, right? So I feel like there's really no, I mean, we know what we have in Senzatella, right? So really nobody should be surprised that any of that happened. And like you said, Tom, I was a little surprised that he was the second starter, but he did his job. He kept the Rockies in the game in an unorthodox way, I should say. And then as far as the bullpen goes, there's a lot of complaints on social media about the bullpen. I feel like people maybe just need to tune in a little bit to who's on the roster and not make assumptions just because it's the Rockies. Because I actually do think, and I think all three of us think, that this could be a strength of the team. Halverson looks pretty good. Peralta has already proven himself through his first, 16 innings as a Rocky. Scott Alexander's been a solid arm throughout his entire career. So I feel like that won't be as big of an issue as long as those guys can stay healthy and Bud Black can actually use those resources correctly. But one person I do want to shout out that we do give a hard time to, actually two of them, are Kyle Farmer and Martini, because those guys have been probably our best hitters as far as production is concerned for these last two games. Kyle Farmer with the sac fly. That's good baseball, right? You get a runner over, you sac fly him in. Today we saw him get a base hit to right field to keep the ninth inning alive. And then Martini, has been playing solid defense as he did in that second game. So I think overall the Rockies had a chance to win that game as well. They just, a little bit more offense.
Yeah, I agree. And then I agree with Keith here. He says, I think the bullpen criticism just goes back to many of the recent seasons, watching leads taken into the seventh and then blown.
Sure.
I think
that's understandable.
Yeah. And Daniel Bard was, listen, we love Daniel Bard and we root him on, and we feel bad for him that he went to so many mental seasons in his life. And, we kind of understand that. But it's like, for a lot of people, it's just like, oh, here we go again moment. But I think, again, it's opening day, opening series. And I think if you look around other teams in baseball, which we might talk about a series or two that might have surprised us here a little bit as we wrap up today. But it's opening series. We're not going to overreact here. And Rockies fans should not overreact here. And we're not going to say, oh, the bullpen's going to be horrible again this year. No, I mean, look at the bullpen in the second half of last year. It was the strength of this team, man. And we were heading into the season. We were like, hey, this is going to be that's baseball, man. And we're going to see things change. We're going to see things, it's going to shift, right? It's a game of baseball changes, right? And so, let these guys get into their own thing. Again, it's March, and I know they play spring training to get ready for this, but it happens every year, and it's no big surprise. Like, talking about the defense, we saw a little bit of how bad the defense was last year in the first few weeks. I think it's going to go away. The Rockies are going to improve that, and it's all about fixing those mistakes. And talking about the mistakes, today, as we get into today's game, that pop up in the infield that Stallings and McMahon, that was just no communication whatsoever. And looking back in past years, there's communication where I feel like, heading into a season, there's always issues that you need to fix out. And I think right now it's just communication and just, getting back into it. I mean, was the sun a factor? I don't think so. I mean, you look at Jordan Beck in the first inning, there was a line drive, almost a home run today. I thought it was going to be a home run, but Jordan Beck was able to reach up, grab it with the sun in his eyes and everything, made it a really nice catch. So it's all about communication and just, letting the butterflies go. Maybe they're still butterflies. I mean, it's a big series. I mean, you want to start off right. Every team does. You want to start off 3-0 or 4-0, whatever series you're playing in, right? So I'm not too worried about these Rockies here. It's just, again, it's opening series. It's a new year, as Keith says. We don't want to make assumptions until Memorial Day, and I fully agree with that. That's when you kind of start saying, like, once you hit June, then you kind of know, okay, this is how we're going to play this year, right? But yeah, heading in today's game, I thought the Rockies had a really good chance with Ryan Feltner coming off of a season like last year, who was arguably, and probably in my opinion, the best starting pitcher on this Rockies team. And maybe next to Cal Quantrill. However, Cal Quantrill had a horrible second half. But yeah, Ryan Feltner, man, I was really excited about this. And the first inning gave up a 2-run home run to Brandon Lau, who is underrated in my opinion. If he's an all-star second baseman, I think he's going to have a big year, especially playing in that ballpark. And so That was it was I think it was a changeup. And by the way, Ryan Feltner's changeup I thought was working really well today. I think he had a couple of strikeouts on his changeup. But second inning the first inning wasn't great, but Feltner kind of settled down a little bit and pitched into the fifth inning, got out of the fifth inning, and in total today he had 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, only 2 runs allowed, and I believe 4 hits. So not too bad for Ryan Feltner. I thought he did pretty well given the situation. And the Rays, they have some decent hitters here. Now, their offense, I don't think it's going to be very good this year, but they have some hitters and they have some young prospects. And one thing that I want to mention is that Josh Lowe got hurt in game 1. And you kind of feel bad for the guy because the guy cannot stay on the field for the Rays. And that's why they had to call up their prospect, who I forget his name.
Mangum.
Yeah. And so they had to call him up. I like him. But if you're a Rays fan, you're hoping that Josh Lowe will come back soon. But Luck says it here in the comments. He bounced back great after the first inning and gave the Rockies a chance, and the Rockies tied it up. And you got to love that. Hunter Goodman, man, he's off to a really good start, and I love that the Rockies are playing him. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I was shocked that Bud Black penciled him in as the starting catcher on opening day, and I love it. Hats off to Bud Black there for letting him start the first 2 games. And then the third game, he was the DH today. So I thought that was great. He's starting off the season hot. McMahon, he didn't do so well today on both sides of the baseball, but he had a good first 2 games. I believe he went 3 for 3 on game 1 with the walk. But and then Mickey Moniak, after what happened in the I believe it was the 6th inning there. Mickey Moniak, hit a home run to left center field. I think it was maybe the wind caught a little bit of it, but first Rockies home run of the season. And by the way, the Rockies were the last team in baseball to hit a home run. So that's out of the way. So it's good to see. But yeah, the 6th inning was just an utter mess, man. It's just no communication. Almost like, I hate saying it, but it looked worse than a Little League baseball team. It was just so bad. No communication between Mack and Stallings. I don't know why Stallings threw it to first base. I don't know why Freeman threw that ball to home plate. It's just go to third base or hang on to the ball as you're taught to. And the Rockies, they could have either had, with that Moniak home run, the Rockies could have had the game tied or maybe had the lead here, where the Rockies could have won 4-3. But unfortunately, stuff happens, and the Rockies fell today to the Rays 6-4. Again, not a horrible game, but still, like, the mistakes cost us today, and so it's a tough way to start the season. Not a horrible series, but it's a series that we should have won, and it's not going to get any easier because we're heading to Philadelphia, and we know how tough that place it can be, especially in this season. It's going to be their home opener too tomorrow, so stay tuned for our social medias because we'll be giving out content for that. But not a great way to end the series. So Tom, what do you think?
Well, again, it was nice to see Feltner, like I said, go 5 innings. So all of our starters except for one Sensatella went less than 5. So again, it was an overall good start for me at the 5 strikeouts. He navigated around a couple of tough situations with them. And again, this is kind of a meh performance by our offense. Nick Martini did get 3 hits, so that was very, very nice. But the one thing actually, we did have, Moniak, I'm sorry, he did have the 1 home run. But the one thing is, even though we were down going tonight, the Rockies did mount a comeback. Farmer did single. Then we had 2 runners on. Stallings unfortunately popped out, and Moniak did strike out to end the game. That was his only at bat where he did not get a hit. The one thing is there is that positive. They should have won this game, and I don't want to contemplate the woulda, shoulda, couldas. That's not what I like to do. Or actually I could, but I don't want to bore everybody to death. But it's the first series. The Rays, even though they're not highly ranked this year, they're still formidable. All these games were 2 runs or less. So I can't complain. I could complain about the offense being fairly inconsistent, but it'll get better. And like you said, the true measure of when I see how things are shaping up, or who's this and who's that, how you can rank players going forward, is at the end of May. So we'll see how that goes. But all in all, it was an enjoyable start to the series. And, it was nice to see it wasn't the first major league game we played at a minor league stadium, so we still have to wait for the Aths to start their season at home. So Steinbrenner Field looked nice. So all in all, it was an enjoyable series nonetheless. So we'll see how the rest goes, and because now we got to face my personal World Series pick, the Philadelphia Phillies now.
Yeah, so to everyone's point, everyone in the comments, Steven, Tom, it was great to see Feltner bounce back the way he did after giving up an early home run. He pretty much was untouchable after that, right? So he did a good job. And then you had the Hunter Goodman RBI single. We were all pumped in the team chat. Excited about Hunter Goodman coming through. We all really like Hunter Goodman. Putting him at the cleanup spot was certainly a surprise for me today, but it ended up being a good thing. So I think to Tom's point, the offense is just really inconsistent. And one thing that Drew said on the broadcast today is the Rockies understand that they're going to have to create their own offense, right? They're going to have to be aggressive on the bases. They're going to have to steal a lot. They may not hit a lot of home runs just yet. And that's fine. I really think the Rockies could benefit from creating offense and just focusing on making contact and stealing bases and getting on base more with walks and things like that. They're going to have to cut down on the strikeouts, though, because that's pretty alarming. 10 strikeouts per game already. So that's something we're going to have to look out for. But again, I have to ask, why is Tyler Kinley being put in games in leverage situations? Like, I don't understand. This guy, and I don't want to bag on him too much, but his career statistics his career whip is what, 1.5? He has never proven that he can handle leverage situations. He had a little nice streak in the second half last year. That's fine. But other than that, this guy has given up home runs left and right. He does not avoid barrels very well. And so I'm wondering what the thought process is there by bringing this guy in to leverage situations. It just can't continue to happen. And then on defense, Steven, you were talking about the pop fly between McMahon and Stallings. That's inexcusable. Drew Goodman tried to say, oh, well, they haven't played here and they don't know where the sun is. I'm like, okay, they know where the sun is. Like, let's not do that. But the Freeman play, though, I will say, he said, well, they haven't played together much. And as a middle infielder my entire life, I 100% agree with this, because had he let Ezekiel Tovar field that ball, it would have been a double play. The inning would have been over. But they haven't played together yet. Yeah. Did they even play together in the spring? I'm not sure, because Farmer played the first 2 games.
One game, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's a communication issue that will get worked out as they play together more. And that's something that can easily be avoided. And I think they also said Tyler Freeman, he's looking to make a play right there. He's like trying to impress his new team. And I agree with that too. It's like, hey, I can make a backhand play right here and get an out, and that's fine. And I think Freeman is a pretty good defensive player, so we're not going to usually see something where he, bats the ball in the left field like he did tonight or today. So I think that's just an issue that will get worked out over time. I don't think that's anything to be alarmed about. I don't take issue with the Tovar throw either, because he was just trying to, get the guy at home plate. You're trying, in that situation, the adrenaline's running. You're like, oh man, we can't let another run score, So, but the Stallings throw into right field, what are you doing? He didn't even look
at first base.
He just turned and chucked it. So we can't have that kind of stuff. But the bullpen again after Kenley was good, right? So I think that's going to be a strength of the Rockies. I may turn out to be wrong on that, and then also want to shout out Martini again, 3 hits today, and then Farmer, like I said, the base hit to right field, as they would say on the broadcast, a good professional at bat, right? He's taking the ball to right field and extending the inning. That's a good thing. And then of course Mickey Moniak coming in first at bat, hitting the first home run of the year for the Rockies. By the way, they were the only team coming in today in Major League Baseball that did not have a home run yet, while the Yankees hit 9 in one game yesterday. So that kind of shows you the difference in some other lineups versus the Rockies. By no means do I think the Rockies have a bad lineup, but they're going to have to be a little bit more creative and cut down on the strikeouts. But overall, I think the Rockies could have won all 3 of these games. And I think that's something we can hang our hat on at the end of the day.
Yeah, we saw this a ton last year in the second half. It's just like the Rockies should have won this game. Like, yeah, there might have been a few series where it's like, yeah, we weren't going to win this one anyway. But there was several series. I remember Tom and I we were talking last year, and if you were watching our Rockies recap last year, we talked about this many times. Is that there are several series where the Rockies should have either swept the series or won the series easily. It's just some of these games just either we blew the lead or defense just failed to, or we just didn't do well in the offense. Of course, offensively last year was just bad. The Rockies ran out of gas late in the season, so yeah, it's just you don't want to like think on these losses a whole lot. It's early in the season, and the Rockies are going to improve on that. But yeah, I thought. And speaking of Freeman, that wasn't an easy play too. I mean, it was right up the middle. It almost looked like it hit off the pitcher, and it looked like it was going to hit second base or something. And when you do a backhand at second base, and again, Adam, you've done it before, where I played. Of course, softball is a little bit different. I never got to play second base, but looking at it, like just basing on it, it's like, yeah, that's a tough play. You're gonna have to use a backhand. And he had to slide to try to block that ball from going in the outfield. Of course, Tovar was behind him, but yeah, that's not an easy play. And as you said, I think he was just trying to improve his new teammates. They never played before. It may be one game in spring training. So that, like I said, that didn't really upset me. The one that upset me, like you, was the Stallings throws. Like he did not set his feet. And I think he was going to get the runner at first anyways. It's just like set your feet, throw a bullet, and he would have gotten him. It was so bad. I turned off the game right after that, and I was like peeking at the score. And I'm like, hey, the Rockies have a chance here. I mean, the Rockies, they made things competitive in the ninth inning. I mean, I think we had 2 runners on, and unfortunately, Fairbanks, as good as a closer as he is, he was able to lock it down. But I like how the Rockies were competitive in this series. I mean, the Rays are not bad. Again, we did our predictions episode a few weeks back, and while we've put the Rays at number 5 in our predictions, we think that they'll be competitive. I mean, they got pitching, really good pitching, and given the guys that were pitching for the Rays in this series, their best 3 pitchers, of course, McClanahan was out. This is a pretty solid rotation, and might be, and I would say that it's better than the Blue Jays rotation because Max Scherzer just so happens to get injured. Again, not big surprise there, but the Rays, they might be a sneaky team this year, but I still expect them to be a 500-ish team. Offense, like I said, I don't think it's going to be anything to write home about, but their pitching is no joke, and I think the Rockies did a decent job, especially in the opening series with the offense the way it is. The Rockies were able to, at least we didn't get shut out, right? The Rockies got shut out so many times last year. I think they broke a franchise record in shutouts last year offensively. So I'm glad that the Rockies were at least to stay in these games. There were any blowouts. That's a positive in my opinion. Um, so yeah, tomorrow we got somewhat of another earlier game. It's going to be an afternoon game in Philadelphia, 1 p.m. Mountain Time start for us here in Colorado. If you're living on the East Coast, it is going to be 3:05 p.m. It is going to be the Phillies home opener in Philadelphia. It's going to be, I believe, a 3-game series. Game 1 tomorrow, and then they have a day off on Tuesday, which I don't get why they do that. And then Wednesday is game 2, and Thursday is game 3 of the series. And of course, the Rockies will, after that, travel back home to have their home opener next Friday against the Athletics. So game 1 starters for tomorrow will be German Marquez for the Rockies. He'll make his debut, which I'm very intrigued about. I'm curious to see how Marquez is going to look. And starting pitcher for the Phillies will be Christopher Sanchez, who is a very good left-handed pitcher, who is, he's on the younger side, and he had a really good season last year, if I'm not mistaken. Last year, 11-9 with a 3.32 ERA. And 31 starts with 153 strikeouts. Not a strikeout guy, but he's a ground ball pitcher. And that's got me concerned because the Rockies, they either strike out or they're ground out quite a bit. And we saw that a lot in this series. But hopefully the Rockies can get some offense. And plus, they're playing a ballpark they're at least a little bit more familiar with than George Steinbrenner Field. But still, it's the Phillies crowd. It's their home opener. They're going to be rowdy. And we already know that Citizens Bank Park is one of the loudest places to play in the game. Next to Dodger Stadium and Petco Park, I think Citizens Bank Park is arguably up there as well in terms of just the rowdiness of the crowd. So the Rockies are going to have to be prepared for that. Do I think the Rockies can win this series? I'm going to say, unfortunately, no. I'm not. I know I should be positive. There's got to be somebody on positive on this podcast, but it's not going to be easy. Let's just say that for the Rockies. I mean, this is a team that very well might be in the World Series. They have World Series aspirations, and they played pretty well in the National Series. They won that series 2-1. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the Rockies for sure, and the pitchers are not going to be easy. Like again, Sanchez pitching game 1. I want to say Wheeler's pitching game 2.
He is,
and so yeah, that's not going to be fun. And he's a strikeout machine. And then Taijuan Walker, who has always owned the Rockies on the mound, he'll be pitching game 3. So it's not looking great for the Rockies, but who knows? Maybe the Rockies can steal a series from the Phillies in Philadelphia. But I'd like to see just get one win, head home, and then get your things together and mash against the Athletics. And at least, hopefully, the Rockies can have a better start than they did last year when they started 1-6, which was the worst in franchise history. When the Rockies lost 3 out of 4 against Arizona, and then they got swept by the Cubs. So hopefully we see a little bit competitive baseball in Philadelphia.
Well, and the A's are no slouch. As you guys know, I picked them to make the playoffs, and they are showing early in their series with Seattle why. That team can pitch, and they got some sluggers, and they got some young guys that aren't even playing yet. Gallov's injured, so that'll be a tough matchup for the Rockies. I'll be interested to see how that goes. But to your point earlier, Steven, about being positive on the podcast, I feel like we're all pretty positive about the Rockies. I'm probably the one guy, though, that's going to have no issue calling out Bud Black or saying things that the way that they need to be said, because that's just how I roll personally. But I'm pumped on the Rockies. I think this is going to be a fun team to watch. If they can just cut down on the strikeouts, I think they're going to be fine. They're a really good defensive team. I think they can pitch a little bit, and I think the bullpen's going to be pretty good. So absolutely. I think they can beat. I think they can beat the Phillies. Why not? It's too early to be like, yeah, they can't beat the Phillies. Like
it's opening series. You never know. Maybe the Phillies defense. I mean, again, you look at let's talk about one of the series. We're not going to go deep into it, but the Marlins, they were able to win a series against the Pirates. They won opening day against a guy that is on MLB The Show cover, won Rookie of the Year. I mean, you never know. The Marlins, 3 walk-offs in just 4 games. And if you know a Pirates fan out there, folks, make sure to hug them. So it's not good start, but it's opening series. You never know what's going to happen, but we shall see. So again, if you don't follow us at Rockies Now, follow us for Rockies content. We do game day posts, highlights, and all the stuff in between. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you want to catch our next Rockies recap episode, that will be coming up on Thursday afternoon when the Rockies finish their game 3 against the Phillies. Hopefully a Rocky series win when that happens. So stay tuned for Thursday's episode for the recap episode. I think that's going to do it. If you have any questions, let us know here at Rockies Now. We'd love to answer, or if you want to ask us to ask you questions, let us know. We'd love to help you out there. On behalf of myself, Tom, and Adam, thank you for listening to this edition of Rockies Recap. We're excited for the rest of the season to do these episodes, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And for those who are wondering, Rockies, what should I say? I think we did this a little bit last year, Tom. Was it who's hot, who's not? I think we did that like once a week.
Yes, but we do that based on a full week though. So I'll have that at the end of next series.
Yeah. So next, I think we did that weekly every Sunday. So maybe next Sunday we'll do that.
Correct. So not till next recap on Sunday. So yes, I'll have that prepared. If I'm not on, I'll have it ready for one of you guys.
Perfect. Yeah.
And Ready to Rock is ready to roll too. So we'll be using that too.
Yeah.
Use it as let's start the hashtag, baby.
Ready to Rock. Let's do that. Perfect. So again, stay tuned for all that great content coming up for Rockies Now. Thank you for watching this edition of the Rockies Recap episode. And as always, go Rockies.